Welcome, everybody, to the X Factor podcast. I have no idea what episode number this is. It's not my job. That is our producer's job to tell me these things in the pre-production meeting, which he did not do. So we are flying blind as to the episode number. But what I can tell you about is today in the X Factor podcast, my illustrious co-host and I, Mr. Jon Rennie, will be discussing X Factor brands, or as he thought during our discussion of said episode, X Factor bands. He's like, yeah, we already did that. We talked about Van Halen in a previous episode.
So I thought you said bands.
Yeah, brands.
Brands. Okay.
Brands.
You know, I have trouble seeing. That's why I wear these glasses occasionally. And when I forget, these are like quadrifocals. Yeah. That's because I'm old, Coach Brew.
This is true. I'm the young, strapping buck of this podcast. No offense, Parker. So joining us today, behind the scenes at the Command Control Center, known as his office, is the DFE, the Director of Freaking Everything, Parker, who you, if you're watching this on BrewTube or YouTube, is at the bottom of the screen down there, which is also where you subscribe to the podcast and get notifications, ring the little bell, ding, 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 to get notified when a new podcast drops on our YouTube channel. And Jon Rennie, we're talking about brands that have the X Factor.
We were talking about brands, not bands.
This is, man, if this ain't your wheelhouse, and if there's one thing that I and our many listeners, are the tens of people tuning in right now, know about you, is that your four basic food groups are protein powder, pre-workout, coffee, and bourbon.
Perfect. Yes.
And those first two things, protein powder and pre-workout, are because you're a self-proclaimed steak. You're kind of a meathead, right?
I'm a bit of a meathead. Yes.
I love to power lift.
I like to power lift. I like to work out. I have a gym in my house. I have a home gym. Shout out to
more like he has a house in his gym.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I like it. I mean, especially in the midst of COVID, having a home gym is a good place. It was a good timing. I built my home gym 10 years ago, but planning for this 1 year where all gyms would be closed. So,
yep.
But yeah, we want to talk about brands. We want to talk about people that are doing a difference, brands that have the X factor, people that are making a difference in their industries. And I wanted to talk about a guy who was also the brand, which is Mark Bell. And basically Mark Bell creates gym equipment for lifters, for power lifters, for weightlifters. And you know, his first invention, where he came to market, he was a well-known
fire, or was it the wheel?
Sorry, say again.
His first invention was fire or the wheel. I forget what you told me.
No. Fire and wheel were way ahead of him. He created this right here, which if you're watching on YouTube, you'll actually see. It's called a slingshot. And that was his first foray into business.
If you're not watching on YouTube, I don't want you to be alarmed, scared, or startled. Jon Rennie is not wearing a slingshot bikini.
No, this is not a slingshot bikini. This is
not even a Speedo. It's not even a thong.
This is a...
What exactly is it? It's a stretchy... Is that nylon?
No, it's I don't know, some sort of band material. It's very, very hard to pull, and the whole.
What do you do with it? Do you wear it?
The whole purpose is you put this put your arms through it. It comes across your chest, and it helps you to bench press without having shoulder pain. And one of the problems you get with a lot of power lifters is they get a lot of shoulder pain from lifting. So Mark Bell was solving a problem in his industry, so he created the slingshot. And
so is that in lieu of one of those bench pressing shirts?
Yeah, so no, it is actually a version of it. And when he was a power lifter, he used to wear those bench pressing shirts, but they're very, tight, complicated, they're
cumbersome.
cumbersome, but this thing anyone can carry. You can throw it in your gym bag and you can go to the gym and you can actually help you get through. And it helps you to lift more weight. For me, at least, it gives you more confidence because it helps you get out of the hole, right? In the lower part of the bench press, get you out of that hole. So you can really load up the weights and really try to go for some big numbers, right? So anyways, this was his invention, but what
helps you, John, hang on a second.
Yeah, sure.
You mean to tell me that contraption helps you more than the sweatshirt you have on?
It is hard to believe, but no, my sweatshirt, Chin Up, Chest Out, from the Chin Up, Chest Out store, is also very helpful. But no, if I really want to get out of the hole, I need this. But I like the sweatshirt too. It keeps me warm and dry on a cold winter afternoon.
Why is it called the slingshot, by the way? Oh, and chinupchestout.com. Yeah. Shout out. Why is that thing called the sling shot?
I think it's because it gets you out of the bottom. It propels you off
maximum
off the
tension point, right?
Exactly, and then just pops you out of the bottom. So what's interesting about Mark Bell is that he's not just an inventor, right? He's actually using the product. He invented it because he wanted it for himself. And, he continues to do that with his brand. So
he is the brand is really what we're saying.
He essentially is the brand. So he's very popular on social media, very big on Instagram. He has a podcast and he's constantly.
No free shout outs. Come on now.
No, I'm not giving any free shout outs. It's just a brand that I like. And if Mark Bell wants to sponsor the podcast, we certainly would appreciate that. But he is 100% not getting a free shout. I'm just saying this is a brand I like. I admire what he does. And the thing is, he continues to innovate, whether it's knee sleeves or elbow sleeves, and lately he just came out with a product that I thought was pretty cool. It's called a bicep board. And essentially it's a way to be able to do curls where your hands are out like this. It's a board that you can mount dumbbells on. And again, it's just something that he's continuing to innovate and create products for this industry. And so he is he's the voice, he's the face, and he's the innovator in this company.
Just another power lifter
to someone who's really changing industry. Gotcha. And what I like about him in particular, he's competed in all three facets of weightlifting too. So he was a power lifter, he was a strong man, and now recently he's become a weightlifter, which is sort of your traditional Arnold Schwarzenegger. You go up and you pose and all that. So he actually competed as a weightlifter as well too. So he's competed on all three major facets of the weightlifting sport. And it's just a remarkable guy, and a brand that I use his products. I recommend his products. And he's someone that I look up to as far as a business leader. He's changing the rules of the game, making a name for himself, and he's growing a brand. He calls himself a meathead millionaire, and I love the idea of a meathead millionaire. So,
just something to add in is Mark Bell is a very established lifter, just because so it says here he's squatted 1,080 pounds. He's benched 854 pounds. He's deadlifted 766 pounds. He had a total, I guess, like in powerlifting, you add up the total of all three of those lifts, and his total was 2,628 pounds. And his total is the highest in California history. And
how much did he squat again?
It says here online he squatted 1,080 pounds, which is insane.
So what's even more insane to me is that he benches more than he deadlifts.
Yeah,
and his squat isn't significantly more than his bench. That's surprising to me.
That is wild. Yeah, and then it says,
wouldn't you say, John? Is that kind of surprising when you look at the distribution of those numbers to get the total weight?
Absolutely. He's a freak of nature.
Oh yeah, it says here that he was ranked, or I guess I don't know if he's currently ranked. I'm reading this. I don't know when this article was posted because it's just a background of him, but it says here that he was ranked in the top 10 of all time, I guess, in the class of 275 pounds and 308 pounds, I'm assuming. He is a massive hulk of a man, weighing that much, but those are crazy numbers. Just want to throw that in there.
Yeah. But if you follow him on social media, it's sort of an addictive personality. You just want to see what Mark's going to do next and what he's going to talk about next. And he's a very encouraging, uplifting guy. And he's really added a lot to the sport of weightlifting. And
what I like is that he's the brand, John.
he is the
You
brand.
know,
Yeah, he's
it's
the
not
brand.
like some little dork who's a physicist or an exercise physiologist who sits in a lab at a
Exactly.
university and comes up with, oh, the slingshot. Like, this is a dude who lifts the weight, he does the work, and he created something that solves a problem for everyone.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And and again, as a lifter myself, the slingshot is like most everybody who's a lifter has used a slingshot at some point in their time. It's part of their training when they're working towards getting their bench press up. So amazing product, but just his background, his history. So, if I'm picking a brand that I say has the X factor, I think Mark Bell and his brand definitely has the X factor when it comes to powerlifting. So amazing company, amazing guy, and someone that I look up to, and I want to be that kind of person in my business as well. So Coach
That's
Brew,
awesome. Yeah.
how about your brand? What have you selected for today? I believe it's something I know.
Yeah. You're wearing the sweatshirt. Chin up, chest out, move forward.
Wait, I thought you were going to do something
what's the
about.
website again, Parker?
chinupchestout.com, or you
Yeah.
can go to coachbrew.com and learn more about all of his establishments.
Yeah. So that's actually not the brand that I'm thinking of, but it is the brand that is bringing you this free podcast. It's underwriting it, if you will.
Yes.
So the brand that I chose, which I think is the finest example across all industries of the fact that you should do, and it's what Mark Bell has done in his own right, and this is also an example from the world of sports, that what you should do is chase excellence, and the
Yes.
dollars will take care of themselves. If you chase excellence, the dollars will take care of themselves. And the example I share is the Marucci baseball bat company. And if you have not heard of Marucci, you're about to. So the fascinating thing with Marucci Bat Company is this is probably very similar to Mark Bell. It's just a guy who was trying to solve a problem. Jack Marucci is the athletic trainer, head athletic trainer at Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. And his son, kind of grew up watching Major League Baseball with his father and going to the LSU baseball games. And he wanted to swing a wooden bat in Little League. Just started out in Little League, and his son Gino was 8 years old at the time. And there were no wooden bats for 8-year-old boys anywhere. You couldn't go to a sporting goods store and find one. You couldn't order it on the internet. And he really wanted a wood bat, not an aluminum bat. So dad went and got some wood and bought a lathe, put it in his wood shed in his backyard, like backyard tool shed. And when the wood came in, he just started to make, manually by hand, a wood baseball bat for his 8-year-old son to use in Little League. And it was such a quality product that other kids used it. When the kid came around dad's office at the college in the training room, some of the college players saw the kid's wooden bat and said, "Hey, where'd you get that?" He's like, "Oh, my dad made it." And they asked Jack, "Hey, could you make us a wooden bat? When did you know you made bats?" He's like, "Well, I don't make bats. I just made a bat for my kid." College players started to ask him for them. And then accidentally, somehow one of his bats made it into a Major League Baseball game. Someone was in a slump, their bat broke, and there are a lot of bats breaking in Major League Baseball that were other brands. And I'll explain why in a second. But his bat accidentally made its way into Major League Baseball. It was not an MLB sanctioned and approved product. And you have to pay, For every league, you got to pay their ransom money to be an approved product to be used. They didn't have the budget for it. Their startup, brand. Anyway, the guy got a hit. Someone else asked to borrow the bat for, in the game, and professionals quickly recognize quality when they see it, when they experience it. Quality in anything, a weightlifting product, a baseball bat, a scalpel if you're a surgeon. Professionals recognize quality. They saw it was a quality product. More people started asking for the bat. And he did a real interesting thing. He did two really interesting things, which shows you real commitment to quality. Number one, it was where he sourced the wood and how they select the wood. So he sourced the wood from a maple farm and a wood harvester in central Pennsylvania that is an Amish family owned business. And for whatever reason, it's just really quality maple up there. And they just started only taking inventory from this wood harvester. But in inspecting the wood, like the quality of a wood bat is measured by the direction and the consistency of the grain of the wood. And many other brands would just mass produce bats, like Louisville Slugger and all these other brands without regard to quality. And something like 99 out of 100 pieces of wood at the Marucci plant never make it because they aren't of sufficient quality and the consistency of the uniformity of the grain of the wood. But the ones that do, and this is their motto, Marucci Bat Company, every bat is a gamer. Like whether you're an 8-year-old boy in Little League or you are Big Poppy swinging a bat, when he was with the Red Sox. I didn't want to give a shout out to anyone other than a Boston Red Sox, even though he's not playing anymore. But, regardless of who you are, you're swinging a Major League Baseball quality bat, the same one the pros use, you're using. It's that commitment to excellence that I think matters. It's why they're able to charge a premium. It's why their bat doesn't break with the frequency of any other brand product in any other competitor, but it developed traction and became a big business. Now here's the fascinating thing as we talk about be different or be invisible, do things differently, and why I think this is such a wonderful X Factor brand. You got all these other brands, any sporting good, and they pay major league players and professionals to endorse their product. Marucci Bat Company doesn't pay a soul. He has people pay him to endorse the product. And by pay him, what I mean is they don't pay for sponsorships. They partner with investors. They get professional baseball players who respect and appreciate the quality of their brand to invest in the company, use that bat and recommend it in the locker room and the dugout to all of their teammates. And that's why it's the number one bat in Major League Baseball now, and it's used by 40% of the league.
That's really crazy.
Yeah, like everyone else is basically bribing professional athletes to use a product, and he has them paying him. But beyond like, oh, you're saving money, you're not paying for advertising and sponsorship. That's not what I mean. What I mean is like these are guys who have a vested interest in the success of the company, and they're not hired guns. They have a skin in the game, and they care about the brand at a level and to a degree that no one else does. And they're really champions for the brand and ambassadors in a way you just won't see anywhere else.
It's not fake.
Genius.
It's
yeah,
fake.
it's genuine. It's genius.
Yeah. So Parker, you mentioned you played baseball and those bats were a big part of your growing up, right? Like that was the bat to have?
Yeah. So like when I was growing up, we would travel for baseball tournaments and all around. I mean, all around the East Coast. And I remember going to a lot of these tournaments. One specifically, actually, I went to, and this was back in like I want to say like middle school or even before middle school when we were traveling these.
It's like
Uh,
5 years ago.
yeah, no, definitely not 5 years ago. But back when in middle school, we would travel, or I think maybe even before middle school, we would travel to these tournaments. And I remember specifically there's this one team that had like everything. Like they like all the other teams, like we showed up with our team. We were just like I guess old country town team. Not like we loved playing baseball. We didn't care about the gear too much. But I remember this specific day we were facing against these teams that were actually sponsored by like Under Armour, or there's like several other like sponsored teams that we had to face, and they just were so good. But we would always remember seeing how like the gear that these people had were like just all professional. I remember seeing like Marucci bats that they would, because we wouldn't use wood bats in the actual games, but they would use them to like warm up or to hit around with. And everyone was like, that was like in a sense like the Lamborghini of the wood bats. And
Yep.
even when I got to high school, like even when I got to high school, they were still like just the top of the line wood bats. Like I remember a lot of my friends would use Marucci wood bats to warm up. Say if they just wanted to go to the batting cage and they didn't want to use their metal bat, they wanted to. I mean, there's just something great about swinging a wood bat, and it's awesome. And using that specific bat, because I've hit with it actually several times, it's just I don't know. It feels a lot different in the hands compared to just the average
Yep.
Joe wood bat. And even some of the I've swung several top end wood bats, and Marucci just kind of stands out, to be honest with you.
And the cool thing about what they've done is to protect their investment, they actually bought the Amish. Um, I don't even know that it's I guess it's a plant, a manufacturing plant where they harvest the wood. I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but they bought the plant to make sure no one else could access that source of maple. The quality is so good. They retained the whole staff, like everyone kept their jobs. It really became a partnership where they have, a vested partner there, but they kept everyone. And now the funny thing is, and here's how you know you're onto something and you have the X factor. When one of your competitors changes their marketing collateral to try and imitate you. So like Louisville Slugger, if you look at Louisville Slugger's marketing materials, it says on their bats, it says made with real Amish maple.
Interesting.
Now there's no such thing as Amish maple. There's just maple, there's hickory, there's maple, there's pine. There's no such thing as Amish maple. But that's kind of like the X Factor secret sauce is, Marucci got this great quality wood from, this Amish owned and operated business that harvested wood in central Pennsylvania. So now Louisville Slugger, losing market share, is grasping at straws to try and imitate this secret sauce and unsuccessfully doing it. They had a stranglehold on all levels of baseball for over 100 years because they just happened to be, at one point they're probably the only, and then they were just the biggest, but their commitment to quality and their commitment to excellence was not what it is at Marucci.
I think Marucci ought to come out with Amish maple syrup now that they've got the maple bat.
That'd be a good like spoof, right? So your bat, John, your bat that I gave you is a Marucci bat.
I know, and I don't have it in my room. I have it up in the other room right now. So I would show it off. But yeah, no, it's a great bat.
That's why I love it. Yeah.
It's a great bat. But unpacking the X factor here a little bit, there's a lot of commonality between the Marucci and Mark Bell, and I think the biggest thing is, necessity is the mother of invention, right? And so you got to love it when a father wants a bat for his son and he goes out and does it himself. When Mark Bell needed a way to train without the shoulder pain, he created a way to do it. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, an inventor, or someone that's, starting a brand, I mean, what are you trying to solve in your industry? And how are you doing it uniquely different than everybody else in your industry? That's the X factor. When you're doing that, when you're solving a problem, you're doing something that helps you, it's also going to help somebody else in your industry, And so as the story of the bats, it grew from the garage to the little league all the way up to the major leagues, and it solved a problem for a lot more people than just him and his son, right? And the same thing
Yeah.
with Mark Bell. It solved more problems than just him and helping him lift. It helped an entire industry lift,
Yeah. When I interviewed Jack Marucci for my book, Stadium Status, which is available at stadiumstatusbook.com, I got a great quote from him, which is, "Don't chase the dollar, chase excellence, and the dollar will take care of them. The dollars will take care of themselves." And the proof is in the pudding. Here's a guy who started by making a bat for his 8-year-old son in his tool shed in his backyard, and on March 8th, Marucci Bat Company sold to the investment firm Compass for $200 million.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just another cool example of something that, like, necessity being the mother of invention. How many great businesses were started like in a garage or a tool shed? Apple was started in Wozniak and Jobs' garage. And that's another company that just chased excellence, and everything else. It's funny. Everything else does take care of itself when you chase excellence.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, speaking of excellent, I think you did an excellent job today, John, and
I
so
think you
did you,
as
Parker.
well. I think
Yeah.
you did as well, Coach. I think
I
probably.
feel like you carried us, though.
Just to kind of throw in some random facts. You were saying how Louisville Slugger has been around for like 100 years or so. This is what's blowing my mind, is that Marucci was founded in 2009.
2000. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yep.
Louisville Slugger was founded in 1855, and now Marucci, literally founded in 2009, is
Yep.
now the top of the market because they did things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me you can't
Fascinating, isn't it?
change. Tell me you can't change an industry. You say, well, no one can beat them. They've been around 100 years. Oh, really? Watch
Yeah.
me.
Exactly.
And that's
Hold my beer. Hold my beer.
Hold my beer. And that's every industry out there. Every industry.
Oh, and that's the stick-to-itiveness too. Is he made that bat for his kid in 2002?
Yes.
7 years. 7 years later.
Yes.
It really became incorporated, and they started really mass producing. But yeah, it's a marathon, not a sprint in everything we do, which is why you got to chase excellence. So speaking of excellent, Parker, if someone is so impressed with how excellent this podcast is,
yes,
how do they subscribe and learn more?
Absolutely. Hit the subscribe button down below on YouTube. Follow us at Podcast X Factor on Twitter and Instagram. The X Factor podcast will be coming to Facebook this week, I believe. And you can follow us on there as well. Like everything, subscribe, share. Please share by word of mouth or sharing the links. That'd be amazing. But even more importantly, comment, interact with us. I'll be looking at all the comments. I'll be looking at everything. So definitely ask us questions, all of that.
Yeah, and if you're a casual listener, you don't want to be a P3 or a P2. You want to be a P1. And P1 is an old radio term for preset number one, where we are number one in your mind and your heart. So it'd really be playlist one. P1 would stand for playlist one now on your podcast. And P1s, like our friend who is Jack_Elliott at Jack_Elliott. Is that correct, John?
no, it's not.
What is it? James
Elliott.
James Elliott at James
You
Elliott.
threw me off too.
Day one P1. If you want to be like him, you need to share, subscribe, tell all your friends. And that's how you become a P1. And we might send you something.
Like a bat, maybe?
Probably not.
Okay.
Hashtag budget cuts. Hashtag pandemic.
Uh,
Blaming on COVID. Yep.
Also, shout out to on YouTube, Adam Todd.
Adam.
He was the first one to comment on episode number 1.
Day one, P1, Adam
All
Todd.
right.
Yeah, he said, great work,
Adam.
boys. Looking forward to watching this grow. 2 men I really respect, and DFE. What more could you ask for? So shout out to him.
I love it. And you
Awesome.
got called by name too, Parker. That's great.
So
We're gonna have to correct Adam. Is the DFE, not just. They're probably DFEs everywhere, but they all
Exactly.
wish they were
Exactly.
like Parker. They wish they were. They
The
aspire to be the DFE.
exactly.
DFE. Yes.
So
Well, very good. That's awesome. Well, thank you for listening to the X Factor podcast. We're glad that you joined in, and this was a good one. And again, subscribe, share, tell your friends.
yeah, what are you waiting? Why are you still watching or listening? Turn it off. Go
Time-
subscribe, share, and tell your friends right now.
Time to
Thank
go.
you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.